You think Elon Musk is the richest man alive? Think again. There's a man from the shadows who quietly controls over $10 billion, and most people have never heard his name. From the streets of New York to hidden Colombian islands, these mafia bosses didn't just break the law. They built empires bigger than most corporations. They controlled drugs, weapons, oil, and even elections, all while living in luxury. Some died in silence, some vanished, and one of them still rules, without ever being seen. In the next few minutes, you'll uncover some crime bosses who out-earned today's top billionaires, and one name whose power still scares governments. So if you think tech runs the world, stay till the end, because only one man beat the richest in complete silence, and still walks free. Let's start with the Tony Salerno. Tony Salerno was born in 1911 in New York City. People called him Fat Tony. He did not talk much, he did not show off, but he became one of the most powerful mafia leaders in America. He was the front boss of the Genovese crime family. This family was one of the biggest in the mafia world. Fat Tony made his money through gambling and loan sharking. That means he took bets and gave out money with high interest. He ran these in Harlem and the Bronx. He made millions of dollars every month. The FBI thought Fat Tony was the real boss. They watched him for years. But here's the surprise. He was just a cover. The real boss stayed hidden. Fat Tony was used to keep the spotlight away from the true leader. Even though he was not the top boss, Fat Tony made over $600 million. He kept quiet and lived a life of power without saying much. He died in prison in 1992. He never told secrets. He never spoke against the mafia. He ran a billion-dollar mafia business without loud words or big actions. Just silence and money. But if you think Fat Tony was clever, wait until you hear about the Italian Don who moved billions of dollars using just cigarette boxes. Michele Zaza was born in 1944 in Naples, Italy. He worked with the Camorra, one of the most feared mafia groups in southern Italy. But Zaza didn't run the streets like a loud gangster. He worked in the shadows, and he was very smart. He made millions of dollars by smuggling cigarettes. Later, he moved into the arms trade and drug deals. His network spread across Europe, and his money flowed like a secret river. He moved fast, stayed quiet, and never drew too much attention. But something strange happened. In 1994, Zaza died suddenly. There was no big shootout, no big arrest, just silence. Some say the Camorra killed him. Maybe he knew too much. Maybe he made too much. Before his death, he had hidden over $700 million across banks in Europe, but the public barely knew his name. Zaza lived like a ghost and cleaned his money through normal businesses. To most people, he looked like a regular man. But behind that quiet life, he was laundering a fortune. No flashing guns, no gang wars, just deep connections and a silent mind. Zaza was the kind of boss who never needed to yell. His power spoke for itself. But if you think that's dark, wait until you meet the next mafia boss. He made over $1 billion, and he didn't just move money, he made bodies disappear. Vito Rizzuto was born in 1946 in Sicily, Italy, but he didn't grow up there. His family moved to Canada, where he was raised in Montreal. There, he didn't just live a normal life. He became the most feared mafia boss in Canada. Vito took control of the Montreal Mafia. He ran it like a king. His power was so strong that he even ordered high-level assassinations, and nobody dared to stop him. Police watched him, enemies hated him, but still, he moved like a ghost, always one step ahead. In 2007, Vito was sent to prison in the US. Even while locked up, his enemies kept dying. No one knew how, no one knew who did it, but they knew Vito was still in control, even from behind bars. He built an empire worth $1 billion. But his life was not peaceful. Many tried to kill him. He survived several assassination attempts. He was a man many feared, but no one could finish. In 2013, he suddenly died in a hospital. Some say it was cancer. Others believe it was poison. No one knows for sure. He was a man of power, mystery, and revenge. But what if we told you there was a drug lord who made even more money and didn't just buy cars or mansions? He bought an entire island. Carlos Lehder was born in 1949 in Colombia. He became one of the founders of the Medellin cartel, one of the most dangerous drug groups in the world. But Carlos didn't want to just sell drugs. He wanted to build an empire. He bought an entire island called Norman's Cay in the Bahamas. From there, he flew tons of cocaine into the United States using planes that landed on his private runway. He made billions of dollars. But Carlos was different from other drug lords. He didn't hide. He gave speeches. He called himself a hero. He even followed Hitler's ideas, dreaming of creating his own narco nation. People were scared of him, not just because of his power, but because of his crazy mind. At his highest point, Carlos Lehder had a net worth of $2.7 billion. But in the end, his loud mouth brought him down. The US caught him, and he was sent to prison for over 30 years. Today, he is still alive and writes about his life from behind bars. He dreamed of being a ruler, but now he's just a man in a cell, with a story too wild to forget. Carlos controlled a drug island, flew in endless money, and almost became a king. But what if we told you there's someone even more powerful? A man who controlled a massive empire and was never even arrested. Ismael Zambada, known as El Mayo, was born in 1948 in Sinaloa, Mexico. For more than 50 years, he has been part of the drug world. But unlike most drug lords, El Mayo has never been arrested. He is still free today, a fugitive, always moving, always hiding. El Mayo runs the Sinaloa cartel's logistics. That means he controls how the drugs move, by land, sea, and air, all around the world. He is the brains behind the scenes. He doesn't like cameras. He doesn't post photos. He just works in silence. His son, Michele Zaza, was caught and sent to prison. But even after that, El Mayo stayed in control. Today, he is believed to be worth $3 billion. Some say he is sick, maybe even near death, but he still runs the cartel from the shadows. Even the DEA says El Mayo is more dangerous than El Chapo. Why? Because he's smart. He doesn't show off. And he always escapes. El Mayo has survived wars, betrayals, and government hunts. He is like a ghost. You hear his name, but never see his face. For decades, he built a drug empire bigger than most people can imagine. But now let's leave the jungles of Mexico and return to America, where one man became the very face of the gangster myth. Al Capone was born in 1899 in Brooklyn, New York. He later moved to Chicago, where he became the most famous gangster in American history. During the 1920s, alcohol was banned in the US, but Al Capone saw an opportunity. He built a huge empire by selling illegal alcohol, running casinos, and controlling crime across Chicago. At his peak, he made over $100 million every year. That's about $3.1 billion today. He gave money to the poor. He smiled for cameras. People called him a Robin Hood with a gun. But behind the charm was a man tied to killings, corruption, and violence. Still, the police couldn't touch him. Until one day, the government found a small crack. They couldn't catch him for murder or smuggling or robbery, so they caught him for not paying his taxes. Al Capone was sent to prison in 1931, not for the crimes people feared, but for numbers on paper. In prison, his health got worse. His brain was hurt by disease. He became confused, weak, and slow. He died in 1947, alone and forgotten, in a small house in Florida. Al Capone showed the world that crime could be bigger than the law. But even the biggest boss can fall. But what if there's someone even bigger? Someone who never fell. Someone who made $10 billion and still walks free. Semion Mogilevich was born in 1946 in Ukraine. People call him the Brainy Don. He's not the kind of gangster who holds a gun. He uses his mind. He runs global crime networks, from arms deals and oil smuggling to cybercrime and money laundering. His operations touch Europe, Asia, and even America. But here's what makes him different. He's protected by the Russian government. He lives in Moscow. He walks around freely. Even though he's on the FBI's most wanted list, he can't be arrested. Why? Because Russia will not hand him over. This protection gives him power no other criminal has. He's more than a crime boss. Some say he has influence over entire governments. His net worth is over $10 billion. At one point, he was even richer than Elon Musk. And yet, he lives openly. He eats at nice restaurants. He's been seen smiling in public. No disguise, no fear. The FBI calls him extremely dangerous, but he is never touched. He doesn't need violence. He uses money, power, and secrets to control people. Semion Mogilevich is not just a man. He's a network, hidden behind politics and power. And the scariest part? Most people have never heard his name. But here's the question. How does one man stay invisible while controlling entire countries? Today we hear about tech giants, the billionaires who build rockets, launch apps, and shape the future. People watch Elon Musk, follow every tweet, every move. But in the dark, one man owns silence. While CEOs run companies, Semion Mogilevich runs governments, wars, and elections. He doesn't build websites. He builds empires, using fear, money, and secrets. He's not famous like Musk, but he might be more powerful because Semion doesn't need the spotlight. He's outlived FBI chases, global manhunts, and mafia wars without ever running. He doesn't hide in fear. He dines in public. Why? Because when you control nations, no one dares to touch you. So while Elon has rockets, Semion has entire countries in his pocket. And that's the real power. The kind we don't see. The kind that doesn't post online. The kind that changes history from behind a curtain. So now ask yourself, what's scarier? The man you see on stage, or the one pulling the strings behind the curtain? These mafia bosses weren't just criminals. They changed the game of power and money. Remember, true power isn't about being famous. It's about fear, control, and staying untouchable. Subscribe for more stories you'll never hear in school. Which mafia boss shocked you most? Comment their name below.